By now, we're assuming you've seen the Reddit threads and TikToks and tweets and news articles.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior. We reached out to check on that employee. Ned confirmed the reports and since confirmed that this had been going on for some time.
But the fact that it was something that was caught by fans, that was, a transgression that was enacted publicly, added a level of complication to this where we knew there was this stick of dynamite with an uncertain fuse.
Gulp.
You look good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Very bionic. All right, Ned, you little liar.
I'm sorry, I'm just hearing...
Colin? Colin, is everything okay?
And that's confirmed. Okay, yes. Sorry, Laura, I'm getting breaking news that the Try Guys have now, in fact, responded to the whole Ned Fulmer situation. Wow.
I'm sorry, what?
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to BJ Investigates, a show I just created and might never do again. If this is your first time here, hi, welcome to the channel. I'm BJ, and I am a lawyer, but I am not your lawyer. If you find yourself in need of legal advice, seek it somewhere else, because here you'll get nothing of the sort. So today's episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys. Now, this episode of BJ Investigates is going to be different than other ones that we've done in the past, because usually I'm reporting to y'all after I've already done the investigating. So this particular video, you're going to do a little investigating with me. The way that this came about was the other night, Jake, the other half of this channel, was mentioning something about the Try Guys and about Ned. And then I had one of those Jimmy Neutron brain moments where I flew back to seeing, in my mind, I saw another thumbnail that I had seen where Ned was hooked up to a lie detector test. Now, I had watched the Try Guys a lot when they were on BuzzFeed. I don't know, maybe it was like around 2017, 2018. So I know a little bit about them, but I kind of haven't really kept up. I asked Jake, I said, what's going on with them? And Jake's like, you know what? Don't even look it up. Let's record your reaction for BJ Investigates. I've really tried my best to follow those instructions and not look anything up about the story. But, I did the same thing in a particular trial that just passed and I was, hardly successful. It has been very hard to avoid this news for some reason. So I do know that, spoiler alert, this has to do with perhaps an instance or maybe more than one instance of infidelity. So I do know that it does have to do with that, and it's about Ned, and he's been sort of excommunicated from the Try Guys. I'm going to kind of look into some of the legal aspects of the situation to see if I can add a unique perspective from the other videos that are out there. And how Ned Fulmer, unfortunately, seems to have met the bitter end on the contracts and other legal relations within the Second Try LLC. Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys was recently found cheating on his wife. Now, if you don't know who the Try Guys are, they are a group who was formed from BuzzFeed employees, and then they spun off and created their own show called the Try Guys. So the whole point is they try new things and new experiences and kind of react to them. It looks like really fun, and I do remember enjoying the episodes of the show and the series that I did watch. So this dark cloud surrounding them is ever developing, but they keep mentioning possible legal repercussions, and I really don't know what that's about yet. Ned, the guy whose entire personality is apparently like talking about his wife and
My wife. 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 My wife.
I think the most creative part of this was the story about your wife. Like that dedication to your wife and making the donut, that's your favorite. I feel like that.
like my wife this,
My wife. My wife. My wife.
my wife that.
My wife.
He's the one who cheated.
Inter-office romance, while frowned upon by PR, is
HR?
thrilling. Oh yeah, by HR, sorry.
PR, it can be a big win.
Big night.
They grew immensely popular from the years 2014 through 2018 on the BuzzFeed channel. And they amassed an extremely loyal fan base. I mean, that is so true. Like other popular BuzzFeed shows, after they blew up on the platform, they decided it was time to take control of their own destiny.
We had a lot of talks about what is going to be the future of the Try Guys. And really, we were at a point where we were never going to make a video together ever again.
Say, Zach, was the one who was initially really pushing and exploring the idea of what this whole operation would look like.
I requested with all the guys that we take a meeting together, that we all get in a room and talk about what do we want and what do we see the possibilities being.
They actually started their own YouTube channel called The Try Guys, or Try Guys, something like that.
After 4 years of working at BuzzFeed, we had a great time, but we were on contracts. Those contracts were expiring.
You know, we were like, well, should we stay or go?
I think all of us had been planning on leaving at some point.
The best way to grow was to leave and to strike out on my own.
More autonomy, more creative control, ownership over my own work, flexibility in my schedule.
Quite frankly, they didn't want to pay us enough.
They all incorporate, I guess, this LLC called Second Try LLC, I guess, as members or officers or board members. We'll have to look into that a little deeper.
And then I would give credit to Ned for actually putting numbers to ideas.
We all went to Zach's place, and I walked the team through a spreadsheet of everything that I thought we could do.
He fucking loves spreadsheets. Ned loves spreadsheets so much.
I like doing spreadsheets.
Is it going to be more financially beneficial, more creatively fulfilling? So I guess Ned.
So I guess Ned, I don't know.
But it was my idea.
Zach's gonna be so mad if he hears me say Ned.
Whose idea did they say it was?
You'll see in the video.
They said it was Ned's idea.
And a lot of YouTube was supporting them, and they were growing really fast. Even with BuzzFeed's stake in their company, Zach, Keith, Eugene, and Ned were now able to own their own work, at least to some extent, you know, like partial owners of this LLC. So these videos were really productions.
I have no idea what to do in an actual earthquake.
I don't feel safe in this place.
I would love to prepare for a big night out, but it's a very serious video about earthquakes.
And their second channel blew. Censor that. YouTube's going to leave us on red for 3 days. So all of YouTube was kind of rooting for them because they're now officially severed from this big, huge corporation, BuzzFeed, and they're starting their own thing.
We're back, baby, and welcome to our brand new channel. The four of us have been hard at work building an independent production company together.
Oh, on this channel, we're more than just trying things. We're creating more of the awesome new content you know and love.
And this was their second resurgence after their big hit off BuzzFeed. And everything was going exponentially well. So then on September 3rd this year, 2022, the day before my birthday, the audacity, a shell drops, another demonetized, a shell drops on Reddit by a user by the name of Hamilton390 Alexander. And he claimed, or she or they were Will Thayer. Who's Will Thayer, you might be wondering? Well, Will Thayer is apparently the name of someone who's engaged to someone named Alex. And wouldn't you know, Alex happens to work for the Try Guys. So we're on Reddit, you know, people are on Reddit and they see the fiance of an employee of the Try Guys talking all kind of stuff across the Reddit. Let's get into what they said. These posts included screenshots of an Instagram conversation between Will Thayer and a seemingly anonymous individual. Within the conversation, photos were shared of what appeared to be Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys making out in the club with a Second Try LLC employee named Alex, aka Will Thayer's fiance, the guy from Reddit, remember him? And it wasn't just his fiance of 10 years. They've been engaged 10 years. That's honestly, I would never victim blame. 10 years engaged, I have a little bit, it's at least an orange flag for me. I have questions. Whatever, people, y'all should, yeah, you know, I mean, things happen. Who knows? Who really knows? Who knows? Things do happen. I could see things happening, but it is an interesting amount of years to be engaged. Some people across the internet even claim that they saw Ned in the Chelsea market a day before with Alex, the employee. And someone else even claimed to have seen Ned with Alex at a Harry Styles concert, which, to be honest, that wouldn't make me that suspicious. Like, maybe a Try Guy goes to a concert, he has to go, maybe there's some reason, he has an assistant. Like, I might not think that was too weird, but it is interesting in the full context of all the evidence, you know. And that was on TikTok too, so I mean, listen, it's not the New York Times, not that they always get it right either. They're apparently being seen out and about together all over the place. Of course, it's 2022, photographs start leaking across the internet on all the platforms. So apparently, the Try Guys were like actively aware of the situation and sort of waiting for it to build this critical mass of momentum before they were going to have to make some type of move. based on the story. So this slowly trickles its way onto the internet, allegation after allegation, and a few fans made tweets right away when they saw it happen. But these tweets originally didn't gain much traction. But the Try Guys at this point already knew that this was going to be a huge scandal and they would need to address it. So every day they were sitting around here thinking that this was going to finally be the day that the news is going to break and they're going to, I'm sure they had a lot of anxiety building up. They were constantly monitoring social medias and they were just kind of waiting to see what would happen. So they kept bracing themselves, and then one day, Will Thayer's Reddit thread was beginning to gain a little more traction. This caused the Try Guys to go and release their YouTube statement on the matter on their channel. And the title of the video is, What Happened? Is there a punctuation? It's a question mark? Exclamation? What happened? It's just it's a declaratory statement. What happened? So at the 01 second mark, they announced that Ned is no longer working for the Try Guys.
Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys.
What was the thumbnail?
Oh, it was the picture of all them looking all sad, like
on a couch? Are they all sitting across on the same couch?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting way to set that up.
It's like, let's all sit in a row,
on one couch.
Yeah, right, in like a line, like it's like.
I think I would have done like a love seat moment with like a something in the middle. So they're all on the couch and their set choice.
That was a choice.
And they say over the weekend, a lot of fans had alerted them that they saw Ned out. And I guess they recognized this person as an employee as well somehow, Alex. And, people are reaching out to the Try Guys themselves saying we saw him out.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior.
Try Guys reached out to the employee and Ned actually confirmed the reports. And this apparently shocked the other Try Guys. They had no idea.
We reached out to check on that employee. Ned confirmed the reports and since confirmed that this had been going on for some time, which was obviously very shocking to us, and we just want you to know that we had no idea this was going on. All of that information was just as shocking to us as all of this has been for you this week.
So now Ned is married, as we mentioned earlier, and according to this script, at least, it was kind of like Ned's whole career. Like it was his whole sort of persona to sort of constantly bring up his wife and his relationship with her. He mentioned it a lot in the early BuzzFeed videos and even having his wife appear with them alongside him in some of the Try Guys videos. So the Try Guys said that this began a 3-week process of them engaging in meetings with employment lawyers, corporate lawyers, HR people, PR, and a lot more. And immediately they did know that it was against their values and they couldn't stand behind the decision from a moral standpoint. And they knew that they didn't want to just sweep things under the rug, but according to them and according to their side of the story, they had taken action immediately and they were talking to lawyers and they were talking to people to try and get the situation sorted out and do the right thing while not sweeping it under the rug. They immediately removed Ned from work activities and they engaged a HR professional, like a human resources person, to take note of all the facts. And they opted to remove Ned from their new releases and they just edited him out. He kind of got the Bam Margera Jackass 4 treatment, it seems. They deleted videos that Ned was in, they couldn't edit him out of. So if he was in the videos and there just was no way to edit him out, they said they're not even going to put those up now.
We also opted to remove Ned from our releases pending the results of that review. There are several videos that we've deemed as fully unreleasable. You will never see them, and that is due to his involvement. And that's a decision that has cost us lots of money.
So now they start giving some real personal details about the company and the LLC and how they all signed a written consent of members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager. So basically they've teamed up together and voted Ned out.
So on Friday, September 16th, the three of us signed written consent of the members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager and an employee.
How would they even begin removing Ned from the Try Guys LLC or whatever? Like, how would they do that?
From a legal standpoint, this would just be like any other contract, and it would really depend on what the original contract stated. So what I would be looking for and what you would be looking for if you find yourself in any such a position is the original bylaws and the incorporation documents of the LLC. And in the bylaws, there should be some guidance written in there. Now, the issue is bylaws can differ. It's just a contract. Like, it's just whoever starts starts the business. Of course, there's like legal parameters you have to stay within. There's certain stuff that's illegal, you can't do it. As far as the terms of the contract, there would have needed to be a provision in there that basically said 4 of the 5 members can vote off one of them if they all agree. And I'm assuming that the bylaws would have something like that in there, but really they did consult with a lot of lawyers and a lot of people. So I'm not sure what it says in there, but I'm assuming that there would have been some type of provision such as that. So in this video, they're all super emotional, understandably. And 3 days later, they just decided to go on an hour-long episode of the Tripod, I think that's the name of their podcast, to discuss Ned's removal. It was a pretty off the cuff and informal setting where they spoke what was on their minds and from the situation that had played out from their perspective.
We knew that it required a swift action, legal action, figuring out what we as co-owners could do, what was within our realm. So that was a lot of lawyer calls.
While that happened, I was on tour and then talking to fans who were like, how are the guys? And I'm like, they're good. They're doing good. Everything's cool with us. And I think the thing that was hard for me to deal with was that I knew these were the last times I got to perform for a crowd that didn't have a besmirched image of the thing that they probably know me best from.
Sure.
So that was like hard.
Eugene was not in the podcast. The explanation given was because he didn't like doing podcasts and that it's now just going to be Keith, Zach, and their producer, Miles. Ooh, it sounds like some trouble in paradise in general. Ooh, okay. However, fans got increasingly worried about Eugene's absence, especially with how irritated he was in that initial video 3 days prior addressing the whole situation. The Try Guys were super sad about their careers and the situation that their families were put in. Even though they knew their fans would be shocked and devastated, it doesn't seem like they expected the news to get this big and for it to be this big of a deal. Like I told y'all, I was actually having a hard time avoiding the story just for a few days. The Try Guys apparently realized they really needed some legal guidance and there were some legal things they felt like needed to be taken care of by professionals before they spoke out about it and all of that. They didn't want anyone to get sued is apparently the consensus. They didn't tell their staff directly, due to the fear and the legal repercussions. And Zach says that he now understands why drama is big and why people get into it because he now understands the dramatic news cycle.
Because what I've learned is that drama works. We've had more eyeballs on us now than ever. It's kind of wild. I mean, even though we're not releasing videos, or we hadn't been releasing videos, our views on the back end, people were watching us. Said something on our Discord, and it was like there was a post about it, and then there was a TikTok about that post, and I'm like, this sucks.
Everything
the whole thing
was like
sucks.
Keith said he was super anxious and he can't even go to the grocery store without having an anxiety attack. They said that various publications even reached out to them to comment on the entire scandal. The New York Times, according to them, began reaching out to them and then pressuring them to comment aggressively.
People were reaching out to us very aggressively to get a comment, and then and then when we wouldn't, other former BuzzFeed people were commenting on things, and those people got approached for comment because they just needed someone to talk.
And apparently whenever they wouldn't respond, they reached out to their old employers at BuzzFeed. So whenever the Try Guys didn't respond to the pressure at first, then New York Times, according to them, reached out to the old employer at BuzzFeed to get some type of comment. Which, I do understand from a journalistic perspective wanting to get the story and wanting to get the news out, especially on a newsworthy event. But I think this is an interesting perspective as well on how it actually affects people whenever they're going through something really huge or really hard and, they're being bombarded with, just people that are kind of seemingly not compassionate about their situation. So it's a very interesting perspective. So the conclusion of the video seemed to be that they want to move to the next chapter. They're going to start a whole new thing and they're going to just sort of leave the last 8 years in a time capsule in the past. It seems like a rebrand may be on the horizon, so that would make sense. There's probably some legal, entanglements with the actual name Try Guys. It probably needs to include all of them or something like that. I'm just speculating. I would really need to see the contracts, but I can think of a lot of valid reasons, plus just the psychological feeling of a rebrand. It's let's start a clean thing. If they're wanting to do it by themselves, they're like a new thing. It's like they're going through a breakup, kind of. Now, fans were confused due to the Instagram responses all looking like the same person made them. So I guess they all posted their version of events in Instagram posts, but pictures of Instagram posts, like a notes app apology, but the Try Guys, they posted theirs in like this whatever font, right? And then Ned, apparently, the girls are fighting, but apparently Ned copied the exact same font in an attempt, allegedly, to make it look like they all wrote their statements together and they were a unified front.
So first one, did you coordinate responses with Ned and his team?
No, we shared what our statement was going to be. We did not have insight into what his statement was. I also want to say that we did not coordinate fonts. I believe that he saw ours and copied it.
That is our opinion.
Not so fast, Ned, because the other Try Guys have something to say about that.
And it is an opinion that I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, you got to choose the same font that made it look like we wrote your... Come on, man.
It's my opinion that was on purpose.
Now, why would he do this? Who knows? I don't know. Y'all comment below what your thoughts are on who copied whose font. So apparently they answered the question, if it were never made public, would you have fired him or would you have made the same choice to remove him from the LLC as a manager? And they said, of course, which I don't really know the Try Guys like personally like that, but I do have to wonder, like, that's a good question, you know, for anyone, not just them. They said that what happened betrayed their trust and it was a workplace violation as well, right? You have this added extra potential liability and they've acknowledged it as well, that the person who he was carrying on this extramarital relationship with was also an employee of all of their company. So it seems like from what they were saying and from what they were being advised by their lawyer, that they could have potential liability because there was that employee-employer relationship on top of the fact that they probably all know Ned's wife. They may even be friends with her. And they said it themselves that it betrayed their trust. They said he would have been removed and it probably wouldn't have been a huge public spectacle. Maybe it wouldn't have been as much of a fiasco. But as I mentioned earlier, on a very general perspective, and of course this is not legal advice, but in a very general way, yeah, it does make a difference that she was an employee from a legal perspective, because it does bring in an employment lawyer, right? You don't only need the employment lawyer for the Ned situation, because Ned has an he has some type of business relationship with the Try Guys LLC, and he's an owner, right? And you know, there would need to be employment lawyers involved to sort that out. But then the person he happens to have been having the relationship with is also an employee. So it does add an extra level of legal complications that the Try Guys lawyers will have to consider. What a tangled web we weave. I mean, I feel like anybody that's on the internet for 10 or 12 years or 8 years or whatever, everybody is gonna have something happen. A scandal, maybe they do something embarrassing, maybe something embarrassing is done to them, maybe, you know, they were friends with somebody and 5 years later they do something embarrassing. And it's like everybody's gonna have these moments of public sort of like embarrassment or shame or humiliation. It is something that I feel like we're gonna start seeing, you know, more and more of as more people are putting all their lives online and their relationships online, and as more people are walking around with 48 megapixel cameras in their pockets. I mean, you can't just like pop out on the town anymore. Like, you're gonna be on someone's camera, even if it's not even on purpose. Plus, like, if you're out in public, you can be filmed. It's you know, part of the First Amendment and all that. So yeah, and it's kind of like the moral of the story is just probably don't do that.